Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Educational AD Podcast. We'll be right back with today's guest, but as always, we're going to give a shout out to our sponsors. Now, these are all companies that I used as an athletic director. They're all great companies. I really recommend that you check them out. So take 3 minutes, listen to our shout outs, then listen to our interview, and then go and visit these sponsors. I'm telling you, you're going to be glad you did. Here we go. We want to say thanks to our good friends at Sideline Interactive, indoor score tables and video boards. Go to sidelineinteractive.com and you can schedule a live web demo to see their products in action. Probably one of the best purchases I ever made was our Sideline Interactive indoor score table. Go to sidelineinteractive.com. Schedule that live web demo today. We also want to thank our friends at Huddle. As a football coach, I used Huddle for years, but when I became an athletic director, I made sure that we were a Huddle school. And our coaches just loved the tools that Huddle provided. Kids love the videos and parents love the streaming, but there's a lot more. Go to huddle.com, join the 8 million users, and turn your school into a Huddle school. We also want to say thanks to SnapRaise. Have you ever spent weeks and weeks with a fundraiser and been disappointed in the results? Well, those days are gone. Go to snapraise.com. We used it at our school because it works and it works great. Go to snapraise.com. You can check out all their other great platforms. But if you're looking for a fundraiser, you just found it, and it's SnapRaise. We also want to say thanks to our good friends at Home Campus. Home Campus is a platform you're going to use every single day for scheduling, rosters, results. For me, the athletic clearance and eligibility platform alone is the gold standard. Go to homecampus.com. Don't forget to mention the podcast to find out how to get started. That's homecampus.com. We also want to say thanks to Gipper. Go to gipper.com and let their team help you become a social media marketing guru for your school. Whether it's a simple post to celebrate a big victory or an entire newsletter made from their easy to use templates to showcase all the great things your department's doing, the team at Gipper will have you up and running in no time. It's professional graphic design made easy. Go to gipper.com for more information. That's gipper.com. We want to thank Vital Signs Wall of Fame for their support. If you're looking for a really cool way to display your school record boards or your school's Hall of Fame, check out their interactive touchscreen video consoles. That's right, touchscreen. You put one of their units in your gym lobby or your main school hallway, it's going to be a magnet for kids, for coaches. How about parents, teachers, and sponsors? You got to see it to believe it. Go to vitalsignswalloffame.com. Check out their great products today. We want to thank our good friends at Ohio University and their online masters in athletic administration. My assistant athletic director, along with thousands of others, got his master's through the Ohio program, and it was a great experience. And in addition to the affordability, he also completed 11 NIAAA leadership training courses at no extra charge. Go to Ohio University and take a look at their online masters in athletic administration. We also want to thank our good friends at Hometown. Hometown's changing the game for schools and organizations with their suite of solutions that includes they're still the number one digital ticketing provider in the business. But how about fee-free fundraising, athletic website construction? You really need to check out Hometown. Whether you're an athletic director, principal, or even a head coach, Hometown makes it easy for you and your school to save time, raise more money, and bring your entire community together. To learn more, just go to hometown.com. That's hometown.com. And we want to thank Athletic Surveys by LifeTrack. Athletic directors already get feedback, but a lot of times it's from a very small group that just wants to complain. Athletic Surveys will connect you to that group so you can hear their concerns, but they're also going to connect you to the 98% of your stakeholders that support your program. And having that type of feedback is incredibly valuable, especially when you're visiting with that frustrated parent or maybe your principal or even your school board. Go to athleticsurveys.com They're going to create a custom survey that lets you take the pulse of everybody in your program. That's athleticsurveys.com. And don't forget to mention the podcast. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Educational AD Podcast. We're staying right in Florida today, and we're actually going to my old stomping grounds, Tallahassee, and we're going to be visiting with Dr. Katie Flanagan. Dr. Flanagan has an incredible background. I'm going to let her share those details, but she's currently an instructor in the Florida State University Sport Management Program, helping to train tomorrow's leaders in athletics. Also has background in radio and television. Again, she's got an incredible background. Very excited to have her on the show today. Dr. Katie Flanagan, welcome to the Educational AD Podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Well, let's go ahead and jump right in. We always like to let our listeners have a chance to get to know our guests. So give us that quick bio, where you were born, where you grew up. Maybe take us up through your own college days, and then we'll take a break. But what's the Katie Flanagan origin story?
Sure thing. So I was born and raised in Columbus, Ohio. I like to say I'm a Buckeye by birth, but a Seminole by choice. I was a daughter of athletes. I have four brothers, and we all played sports. Soccer and basketball were my main sports, but I was in school at a time where you could play multiple sports at once. So I also ran track and swam and even played rugby in high school, women's rugby, girls rugby. And graduated in 2000. Florida State won a national championship in 1999. And honestly, it just sounded good to go to school in Florida. I had brothers that said, go do it. And I said, okay. So it was not any sort of calculated choice except for palm trees and beach and football. And it really worked out. I got all three of my degrees there. And that is where I started to pursue sports journalism and did a lot of my radio and TV and print in college. In college, I also worked in recruiting. I was a recruiting hostess for Florida State. So had dinner at Bobby Bowden's house every Saturday night and worked with the recruits. And that was just a fun experience as well.
Definitely going to jump back in and ask for some Bobby Bowden stories, but let's go back to Ohio growing up. And you talked about the multi-sport experience. Um, I think most of our listeners who are high school and college ADs would agree that the multi-sport experience is beneficial, even for the elite athlete. Why do you think it's the pendulum? I think it's trying to swing back toward that, but why do you think it swung so far to the single sport specialization that so many or many parents cling to?
Sure. So I'm a parent myself. My kids are 9, 10, and 11. And youth sports is a business. And whether we like it or not, it is. And the money you invest into a certain sport almost makes it impossible to do multiple, even if the child wants to. And you're making that choice pretty young these days. And I was a post Title IX, which I was very lucky to be, that I had all the opportunities available to me, but not at this elite level so young. So parents are committing resources pretty young. And they just don't have the resources, money and time, to do multiple sports. And so that child is involved in such, even at the age of 10, one sport intensely. There's really not room for more money and time. That's what I see happening even in my own child's lives, and I'm very aware of it, but still heading in that direction.
No, I appreciate your candor. Again, I guess we're getting a little bit off script, but with your permission, um, correct me if I'm wrong. But I'm going to say, I'm going to make a almost an absolute statement, but I think the research is pretty clear that that type of investment doesn't pay the dividend that I think many parents are seeking So I guess it brings me back, and I know I'm putting you under the spotlight here. Why are parents still doing that? I understand completely if their kid, if their daughter or son says, "Boy, I just love XYZ and I want to do it year round and I'm having a great time. And boy, I love the coach and the travel." I understand if it's kid driven, but I think many times it's parent driven. And why not, let the kid have that multi-sport experience. And again, I'm not asking you, I guess I am. I'm asking you to speak for all of America. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think about this all the time. I go to these soccer tournaments where there's 500 families and we're all doing this. Why are we all doing this? So I think about this a lot, and you're correct. College scholarships, that's for the elite. It's just not there. If you want your kid to get a college scholarship, have them start working on the SAT now. Socially, I think that's huge. I think as a parent, you see your kids develop a lot of other skills. I'm not saying it's worth $5,000 a season, but which is what we're investing in every weekend. But we do see them have to commit, show up, be a team player, listen, follow rules, set goals, achieve those goals. And we do see that happening. I do see that happening, having to work hard for something, having to socialize and all those things. Is that worth $5,000 every 6 months? I'll let you know. But I can see that. And I do think most of the time, at least in my experience, my children are enjoying it. I think if they weren't enjoying it, me as a parent would not be that driven. Why parents do it that don't hear, please, I want to do this from their kids, keeping up with the Joneses,
Sure.
fitting in, social media. I've talked to athletic directors who say, I don't have many friends that are parents at my school because of playing time. They want the playing time because non-playing time doesn't look good on social media. Your kid on the bench doesn't look good on social media. And that, I heard an athletic director say that recently, and I was just floored. But I believe it. I believe it. So
No, and all those points you brought up are just spot on correct. And again, I guess it's our challenge as educators to, try to encourage parents, hey, let your kid have that great experience, and, do what feel in your heart is the best. Let's go and get off this topic. Boy, I really went out in the weeds there, but they were good weeds. Going back to your experience, you came to Florida State. Were there, and obviously you had an athletic background as an high school athlete, was there any thought in your head about competing at the next level, or maybe even you knew you might not be a D1 athlete, but you wanted to stay involved in athletics?
sure, sure. So I actually played club soccer at Florida State. I got a couple small scholarships to schools in Ohio for soccer, and turned them down for a bigger school and just a different experience in a different state. But I played club soccer. So I played club soccer from 2000 to 2004. Believe it or not, that was a time when the girls I was playing with, I played with some law students that there was not a women's FSU soccer team when they graduated. Yeah, that's how new really even collegiate soccer. I mean, we know the UNC's, but even I think FSU's first year was 98. So if you graduated in 97, there was no, as a female in high school in Florida, you weren't going to Florida State, you weren't playing soccer at that level.
Right.
So we were good. I wasn't that good, but we were good. And that was a great experience. We won nationals, traveled Ohio, Texas, Clemson, all over, and that was the great experience. So yes, there was definitely a desire to stay involved in sport in my collegiate time.
Now you mentioned, post Title IX, even though it was a club team, was the university funding those trips, or was that out of your pocket?
Both, both. Florida State still has a very strong, they call them registered student organizations, and you can apply for grants and kind of student affairs. So if I recall, yes, if I was going to Austin, I probably had to pay $100 for hotel. We would be funded partially from Florida State. Yes.
Okay, boy, that's cool. I'm sure there's some more stories in that, but let's go and take our first break. For our listeners, our guest today is Dr. Katie Flanagan. She's an instructor at Florida State University in the Sport Management Program, and a lot more. Let's take that break. We're coming back. This is the Educational AD Podcast. We want to say thanks to our good friends at Sideline Interactive, indoor score tables and video boards. Go to sidelineinteractive.com. You can schedule a live web demo to see their products in action. You've heard me say before, probably one of the best purchases I ever made was our Sideline Interactive indoor score table. Go to sidelineinteractive.com. Check out all of their great products today. We also want to thank our friends at Huddle. As a football coach, I used Huddle for years, but when I became an athletic director, I made sure that our school was a Huddle school. And our coaches, all of our coaches, just loved the tools that Huddle provided. Our student athletes loved the videos, and our parents loved the streaming, but there's a lot more. Go to huddle.com. Join the 8 million users and turn your school into a Huddle school. That's huddle.com. Hey, welcome back, everybody, to the Educational AD Podcast. Our guest once again is Dr. Katie Flanagan. Katie, we were talking during the break about a point that I don't think gets shared as much. Can you go ahead and share that little nugget with our listeners?
Sure. We were trying to figure out why we invest all this time and money into youth sports, beyond the high school experience. And for me as a parent, I love watching my kids play. I love being on the sideline. I love watching sports. And when my kids are in the sports, that on a Saturday, that's my ideal day. So I personally enjoy it. I would say that's one of the motivations.
Yeah. And again, you already shared that, just talking about your daughter, she wants to be on that travel team. She wants to be with her friends. She's having a great experience. And that's what we would want, whether it's club or school based. We just want the kids to have a great experience. And I love how you use that phrase. I love to watch you play. Um, let's go and pick up with your story. You're at Florida State. You are getting ready to graduate. What are your thoughts? Did you have a job lined up already? How did you start your journey post college?
Sure. So I took a gap year before it was called a gap year. Thought about that recently. I grew up Catholic and a big Catholic influence, and I wanted to do a year of service. So actually, right after college, I moved out to Compton, California. Yes, the Compton. And I lived with nuns. I actually worked at a hospital they ran, and I did public relations for their hospital. I did kind of health education, ended up putting some sport into it, planned 5Ks, made some more health and fitness and health education in Compton, California, and had a great year. It was a year commitment, the program that I did, and just had a ball living out in LA. During that time, I got an offer for a job back at Florida State. So I worked in radio and TV and print while I was in undergrad, and then a radio show and TV show offered me a job back there, a job that would pay for my master's. So that was actually out of Florida State's communications, Florida State's public relations. So that's when I got more into public relations, was still doing some sports. Because it was Florida State involved, and worked there for a bit, and then got another job offer from the state of Florida. I got the offer to be the communications director for the state park system of Florida, which is an incredible state park system, and that was a fun job. Again, I worked in state government, and state government, they pay, you can take 2 classes at a time. So I just loved school and kept going. Being the state park communications director was just a ton of fun. Visiting the state parks, I went to Ranger Academy, lots of fun. In state government, when you show up and do your job, you get promoted pretty quickly. I promoted all the way into pure politics. I worked for the governor very closely, the governor and cabinet, sitting as the internal board of trustees, and was buying and selling state lands, even siting power plants, nuclear power plants. And at that point, I was like, this is not what I want to do the rest of my life. I saw, the forward part of state government, but that's when I decided to get my PhD. Professorhood sounded like a great option, and state government was still paying for those two classes, and so I got my PhD that way.
Wow. That state park gig, that sounds really cool. Can you share a story or two about your time traveling around Florida state parks?
Sure, sure. So I went to Ranger Academy. Picture adult summer camp. 2 weeks at Wekiva Springs,
Oh yeah.
stayed in cabins, campfires at night. We had to study things during the day. There were physical challenges, um, and had the outfit. I still use it for Halloween sometimes. Um, it was a ball. It was really 2 weeks. That was one of the coolest experiences. They still do it. It's just a huge tradition through the state park service. It's very has some military tones to it. So that was different for me, but loved the camping. Loved the I would say Ranger Academy was up there and one of the coolest things I got to do.
You mentioned Wekiva. Yeah, obviously, very high on the nature scale. Any nature encounters you can share?
We don't have a ton of bears. I love Homosassa Springs, where you can see the manatees and all
Right.
sorts of animals. Mayaka River is one of the older parks with the high ropes, bridges.
Right.
Those are the old CCC, Civilian Conservation Corps parks that are older and so much history. Obviously, Wakulla Springs is a favorite for me in Tallahassee, and Maclay Gardens is very, very close to me. So I'm there almost weekly.
Yeah, oh gosh, Maclay Gardens right next to my old school, the Maclay School. Imagine that. All right, you're playing Ranger, you're getting your PhD. Was there a plan at this point? I mean, it sounds like, and this isn't a negative, just sounds like, it's episodic and you're just kind of, taking advantage of opportunities. Was there a plan or were you just kind of waiting for that next great thing?
Right. Not necessarily a plan. Like I said, I knew state government was not something I wanted to do the rest of my life and literally just started Googling, if we Googled then, I'm not sure, other options that would give me flexibility. I knew I wanted to be a mom. I wasn't. And I even recommend women probably shouldn't make that decision like I did, but I did, and it worked. Professorhood is extremely flexible at a certain point, and a great job for motherhood. So I knew I wanted more flexibility and autonomy, and spoke to some of my professors. Thought professorhood might be it. I was good at school, and that's why I kept going. A lot of people who are getting their PhD just know how to do school well, and so yeah, no, the professorhood. I wanted to be a college professor. I don't think I totally knew why or how that was going to happen, but just kept putting one foot in front of the other.
Well, we're going to let you share, what you do now in the sport management department in the next segment, but how did that opportunity present itself? Was it a job board? Did your advisors say, hey, Katie, you should apply for this? How did that happen?
Sure. So, as PhD students, the model Florida State has, and in most large universities, is your PhD students teach a lot of your undergrads. PhD students get their tuition paid for because they teach undergrads. So, you get a lot of experience, and if you're good, they want to keep you around. So, I started as an adjunct, and after I graduated, adjuncted at quite a few universities, Thomas University, very close to Tallahassee, and then even online at a few different universities. And that's how I'd recommend it if professorhood is in your to start as an adjunct. That's how you prove yourself. That's how people get to know you, and then are willing to offer you that full time job. So after about 2 years, year and a half of adjuncting, I was offered a full-time position.
Okay. Well, that's a good time for us to take our second break. And when we come back, we're going to hear all about Dr. Katie Flanagan's experience with the Florida State University Sport Management Program. Please stay with us. This is the Educational AD Podcast. We also want to say thanks to our good friends at Snap Raise. Have you ever spent weeks and weeks with a fundraiser and then been disappointed in the results? Well, those days are gone. Go to snapraise.com. We used it at our school with tremendous success. It works. Go to snapraise.com. You can check out all of their other great platforms. But if you're looking for a fundraiser, you just found it, and it's Snap Raise. We also want to say thank you to Home Campus. Home Campus is a platform that you're going to use every single day. It's the official platform for the Florida High School Athletic Association, but one of their features is the athletic clearance and eligibility system. And to me, that was the gold standard. That was really why we used Home Campus. To find out more, just go to homecampus.com. Make sure you mention the podcast. That's homecampus.com. We'd like to thank our friends at Gipper. Go to Gipper.com and let their team help you become a social media expert. It might just be a quick social media post to celebrate a victory, or it could be an entire newsletter using one of their easy to use templates that you can customize with your colors and mascots. It's going to let you share with your community all the great things that your athletic department is doing. Gipper, as I like to say, is so easy, even I can use it. Go to Gipper.com for more information. And as always, don't forget to mention the podcast. That's Gipper.com. Welcome back, everybody, to the Educational AD Podcast. Once again, our guest is Dr. Katie Flanagan of the Florida State University Sport Management Program. Katie, let's go and talk sport management. I think, I look back when I was in college 100 years ago, and there was teaching. For me, that meant you were a PE major. There might have been some coaching practicums and things like that, but sport management, athletic administration programs didn't even exist back then. So I know I'm putting you on the spot again. How do you think those programs, why do you think those programs developed? And share a little bit about what you do and what makes the Florida State program special.
Sure. Sport management is a fairly new major, especially if we're going to compare it to majors like religion, philosophy, English. Those things have been around for thousands of years. Sport management has been around about 50 years. And it started when the biggest thing is why it started is when sports were on TV. When sports were put on TV, when it went from just the single radio household to television and being able to sell sponsorships and commercials, it became a business. So that PE coach, that high school coach, there were more money in their budgets. They had to do more things than just X's and O's. There was, just more money in the industry that people needed to be trained to entertain on the television, in the ballpark, and it just kept growing like that. So PE coaches were needing more tool sets or more skills than X's and O's. And that is really where sport management grew out of and what it is today. And it's now a multi-billion-dollar industry as we see.
Absolutely. And you're so true. ADs that are even younger than me, it just wasn't something that was in their toolbox. You teach in the FSU program, and I know you do a number of courses. What what kind of person is a FSU sport management student? I'm guessing you've got a diverse group, but what are some of their backgrounds? And again, why did they choose Florida State?
Sure. They're often former athletes, sport enthusiasts, and what I like to remind them, encourage them, getting a sport management degree from Florida State is like going to school at Nike. We are a multi-million-dollar sport organization. So right there, we have experiences and connections. So they are studying sport under Mike Norvell, Luke Laux, our new coach, and not just in coaching, but the sports information, the finance and budgeting, the player development, all those are opportunities for them to grow and learn from literally the country's finest sport managers. So we encourage our students to take advantage of all of those things and all the connections that faculty has, like myself, and in the athletic department, and really they're high performing students. We have very smart sport management students. It is a popular major. You have to have a 3.0 or higher. Our average student is a 3.5. So my students have a 3.5 or higher. So I have sharp students who are ready to set the world on fire.
And you mentioned those, let's say other, I'm not going to say alternative, other job opportunities, other in the world of athletics. Um, Teaching and coaching, that's kind of a track. And after you've had success as a coach, as a head coach, that's kind of the path many times to become an athletic director. Athletic director is not an entry level position, but there's so many other opportunities in sports, particularly at college and in the professional level, where that sport management background comes in. Can you share, not names, but can you share some of the landing spots where some of your sport management students have ended up after they've gone through the program?
Sure. We have students that go into social media for professional sports teams. We have students, a lot of students go into sales. NBA is a place where if you start in sales, they like to see that if you can sell tickets, you'll move your way up there. We have students going into event planning. So businesses like On Location that put on the Super Bowl, that put on the Olympics. Those are employers that we often see. And then collegiate sports, of course, because they will get experience in collegiate sports, and to be able then to be hired by another Florida university or beyond doing what they've done, whether it's public relations, social media, graphics and design, television production at another school is very seamless for them.
Yeah. And you mentioned, the college experience, nowadays, every college is maybe in a good way, trying to outdo everybody else in those areas of social media and promotion and marketing. Um, in your time at Florida State in the sport management program, what do you think is one of the biggest, changes, shifts, additions that you've noticed in the profession that now you're passing on to this generation of students?
I think there just continues to be more and more opportunities, entrepreneurial opportunities as well. Some of your sponsors that you just mentioned, those were all people with ideas that had played the sport, knew how to make it a little bit better. And with our tools today, anybody can create an app or have a podcast or invent their own thing that will make high school sports better, will make any sector of sports better. So I try to foster critical thinking and thinking outside the box, and ideas and being curious and starting their own thing. That's something I at least, whether they do it or not, want to encourage them to think along those lines, to create your own thing, that it doesn't have to be a certain path that you're going to go on, that in this day and age sports, there's a million ways to grow the industry that just makes it better. And so I would say I see more opportunity for that these days.
Well, I love that. And I love how you wove that conversation back to my sponsors. You're absolutely right. Hey, I've got an idea, and they ran with it. All right, now I'm really going to put you on the spot. Share with our listeners, if you can, what is your, and we can say currently, what's your favorite course in the FSU Sport Management curriculum that you get to teach to those students?
Sure. I teach a large face-to-face course, about 150, 200 students a semester. It's called Exploring the World of Sport, and it's an introductory level course. And most students who come into the course, if they most are trying to be sport management majors, they either want to be an agent, a coach, or a sports reporter. Those are the three things that they see that are the most kind of visual media, television, and those are the three things that they think you can do with a sport management degree. So I get to expose them to all the other hundreds of different opportunities. We practice the question, whether it's, in the fall, okay, when you go home at Thanksgiving and Aunt Sally says, sport management, what are you going to do with that degree? Because they're all familiar with that question. They have a solid answer that they hear from sport professionals. I have guest speakers. They know specific jobs, and they can change their mind once they say, I want to be the sports information director for a D2 school in XYZ conference. They can change that answer, but that they understand that exists and it's not just coach, agent, and TV reporter. So I love kind of just blowing their mind and getting to know them. I love getting to know students. So it's a huge face-to-face class, but I do my best to get to know them. And I do. I think they'll say that. And getting to know them at that time in their lives is just one of the favorite parts of my job.
Okay, now I have to ask, in that huge class, do you get anybody that says, I want to be a high school athletic director?
Yes.
Thank you.
Maybe
Thank you.
not initially. Yeah, maybe not initially. And I can name a handful off the top of my head that have become high school athletic directors. And I have them come back and speak. And we have a whole lesson on high school sports, and they've seen that. They've seen what a high school athletic director does. And maybe they've never thought, oh, I could do that. You just need to put that in front of them. Hey, remember, what did your high school athletic director do? Scheduling, budgeting, fundraising, hiring coaches. Can you see yourself? You've played high school sports. You have some experience in high school sports. Can you picture yourself in that role? Okay, now what do we need to do to get you there? So yes, I would say students do.
All right. Well, I think that makes me and our many of our listeners feel good that, people actually want to continue. And the fact that they have an understanding, a small understanding about what an AD does. I think our parents think that we just show up to games and everything magically appears. But Katie, we're going to do this at the end of the show. But if one of our listeners wanted to reach out, pick your brain a little bit more, or find out more about the FSU program, what's the best way that they can do that?
Sure. I would say go online and take a look at our website and just know that we want good students. We want good students at all levels. Undergraduate, if you're a parent and your child is thinking about what major, they can major in sports and it's fun and they will learn and they will get that degree and they will get a job in that. At the master's level, we love master students in higher education. We love master students. If that's something you're thinking about, we don't need a GRE. Apply and come. We would love to have you. And at the PhD level, again, it is something that you get paid for. That you get it is paid. Your tuition is paid for, and you get paid. You get paid as well. So it's a job. It's a job for a few years that launches you into a career that there's tons of sport management professor jobs throughout the country, throughout the world. The job openings are just coming and coming and coming. So another very lucrative, not lucrative, but very job security. There's job security in a PhD in sport management.
Well, I love that. That's great marketing right there. Professional development, improve your career, do something that you already love doing. And oh, by the way, you get paid for it. So very cool. Let's go and take another break. I know that's shocking to our regular listeners, but we are going to come back with more. So please stay with us. This is the Educational AD Podcast. We want to say thanks to our good friends at Vital Signs Wall of Fame. If you're looking for a really cool way to display your school record boards for all the teams, for all the different sports, or show off your school's Hall of Fame, go to Vital Signs Wall of Fame and take a look at their interactive touch screen. That's right, touch screen video consoles. You put one of these units in your gym lobby or your main school hallway, it's going to be a magnet for kids, for coaches. How about parents, sponsors, alumni? You really got to see it to believe it. Go to vitalsignswalloffame.com for more information. We'd also like to thank Ohio University and their online masters in athletic administration. Now, I didn't get my master's through the Ohio program, but my assistant athletic director did, and it was a great experience. It's very affordable, just 20 months, totally online. And while he completed his master's degree, he also earned 11 NIAAA leadership training courses at no extra charge. For more information, go to the Ohio University Online Masters in Athletic Administration. We also want to thank our good friends at Hometown. Hometown's changing the game for schools and organizations with their suite of solutions, which includes, they're still the number one online digital ticketing platform around. But how about fee-free fundraising, athletic website construction, and a whole lot more? Whether you're an athletic director, a head coach, or even a school administrator, Hometown makes it easy for you and your school to save time, raise more money, and bring your community together. To find out more, just go to hometown.com. That's it, hometown.com. And don't forget to mention the podcast. Come on, Jake. Come on. Again.
Okay, you froze. I heard I love.
All right. I guess we had some internet connections there, but we are back with our guest, Dr. Katie Flanagan. Katie, we were talking during the break, and you mentioned a passion project of yours. I think it would be great for our listeners to hear more about it. Can you share?
Sure. So at Florida State, I am the co-director of the Center for Sport, Health, and Equitable Development. And when I was hired to implement, to create, which I have, a sport-based service learning program. So we have and master's students, and all of them complete a substantial sport-based service project. I oversee those. I make the community connections to enable those, and that has looked like many different things. We created a basketball program at a local homeless shelter. We raised the money to create the hoop and I have helped students plan and implement a basketball tournament for individuals experiencing homelessness. We actually partnered with FCI Tallahassee, which is the women's federal prison in Tallahassee, and we taught yoga classes to the women at FCI Tallahassee. Currently, our students are involved with schools that serve individuals of all abilities, special needs specifically, and they work in their Special Olympics and sometimes unified programs where they're playing sports alongside individuals with different abilities. So for me, social justice, service, volunteering has always been a passion of mine, even since I was little. I don't know what caused it. Sports, obviously, as well. And being able to pursue both of those in my career is a dream. I can't say I did it on purpose, but I guess I would just encourage students and AEDs that whatever kind of makes you go. And for me, that was service and social justice and sports, that you can combine them all. And so that's what I'm currently doing, is that we're having students in the community, hands-on, experiential learning, serving, becoming better citizens, learning, getting to know people that are different than them, different social classes, different abilities. And it's just one of the things I guess I'm most proud of.
Well, you said you don't know if it's intentional. I mean, obviously, I mean, you've been doing this for most of your life. Your project back in Compton, is certainly a service project. Um, I think a lot of ADs, I think all ADs, appreciate the value of those types of experiences, those service experiences, building relationships, have for student athletes, whether it's high school, college, or beyond. but I think sometimes it's a challenge for them to find um, this is the wrong word, appropriate opportunities for their team or for an AD for teams. Is this something that athletic directors, let's just say in Tallahassee and Leon County and the Florida Panhandle or even nationwide, that they could reach out to you and get some guidance in?
Most definitely. I've been doing it for 10 plus years and either have connections or can point them in the right direction, give them ideas. And it's really building relationships. It's being curious and building relationships, reaching out to people who you think might need the help, and they often do. But I can definitely give guidance on that. It seems overwhelming or at first, but like I said, it's become second nature to me. And just anytime you see an opportunity, can your students learn from this? Have you met somebody in the community that you think your students can learn from because of what they do with the population that they're working with? And most often that and eager to say, yes, let's partner. Let's make 1 + 1 equal 3, because I'm going to win from this. Your students are going to win from this. And we're going to make better people on both sides from it.
Wow. Speaking of both sides, okay, I think I set a record for this show in your episode for saying I'm going to put you on the spot. I'm putting you on the spot again. Can you share? And I know you have, hundreds of examples, but can you share an experience from, say, the student perspective that you witnessed? I don't want to say life changing, but it very easily could have, and maybe from one of the participants, the client, how being involved in this service project helped or changed them.
Sure. So one of the organizations we work with is called Sports Ability Alliance, and they are a sports league for persons of all abilities. Our students volunteer there, and some of our student athletes as well. And one of my students, through his volunteering, met somebody on the FSU softball team. Through meeting that person on the FSU softball team, built a relationship there, eventually became the director of operations for FSU softball team through volunteering and then working, and then getting hired. FSU softball then continued that relationship with Sports Ability Alliance, and continue to this day. So that student's experience that he had to volunteer for my class helped him get a job, and in his job was able to continue a service theme because he benefited from him. He knew other student athletes had benefited from it, and he continued that through his time with that team.
Wow, what a great experience. Okay, and I know you've got many more that you could share. Katie, this has just been so cool. Thanks so much for sharing with our listeners. But we're not done yet. We always wrap up with a segment we call the Athletic Director's Toolbox. Now, you're not an athletic director, but I think you know your way around the world of athletics. We're going to take our final break here from Athletic Surveys, who sponsor this segment. When we come back, I'm going to challenge you to send out a brand new athletic director, a brand new leader, but I'm only going to let you put 3 items in their toolbox. So let's hear from Athletic Surveys. And when we come back, we're going to find out what Katie Flanagan puts in her new athletic director toolbox. We want to thank our good friends at Athletic Surveys for sponsoring the AD Toolbox segment. Athletic directors already get feedback, but a lot of times it's from a really small group that just wants to complain. Athletic Surveys will connect you to that group, but they're also going to connect you to the 98% of your stakeholders that support your program. It's important to hear from those squeaky wheels so you can address their issues and hopefully keep them from turning into something big. But having all of that positive feedback is incredibly valuable, especially when you're visiting with that frustrated parent, or maybe your principal, or even your school board. Go to athleticsurveys.com. They're going to create a custom survey that lets you take the pulse of everybody in your program. That's athleticsurveys.com. And don't forget to mention the podcast. Well, it's that time of the podcast. We've been visiting today with Dr. Katie Flanagan of the Florida State University Sport Management Program. As you've heard, tremendous background in sports, sport management, athletic administration. But right now, I'm going to task her with sending out a brand new AD on their very first job, but I'm only going to let her put three things in the toolbox. So, Katie, what's going to go into your new athletic director toolbox?
Sure. The first is a philosophy that I use as a professor, and it is that people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And that's just a mantra for myself as a professor, building relationships, genuinely getting to know people, genuinely caring about people. They'll feel that, and they will listen to your wisdom once they feel that they know that you care. That would be the first tool. Next is a tool for likely younger athletic directors, and it was a habit that I got into as a younger professional, and that was wanting to hurry to get the answer. So don't rush. A wrong answer isn't helpful, or a faulty answer isn't helpful, even if it's quick. So take your time. It's okay to say, I'm going to get back to you on that. It's okay to say, I don't know. A parent comes to you with a problem. It's okay to say, thank you. Give me some time to think about that. You don't need to respond immediately. Do your research, give it time, seek other counsel, and then respond, whatever type of situation it is. The third tool is just read and learn. Sports Business Journal is something I read all the time. Podcasts like this, LinkedIn Learning. You can continue to learn and grow in all of the software or philosophies, or so just continue to learn and grow. We're in a time in the world and environment and technology where there is no reason why you can't continue to learn and grow and improve yourself and stay on the cutting edge of all the current issues and things in student development and academics and in higher education, whatever kind of suits your role. And I will throw in a fourth, Florida State University, sport management, undergrad, master's, or PhD. We have online classes if you're at a distance, and it's just a great place to be, a great place to learn. It's like going to school at Nike if you're going to study sport. And I have all three of my degrees from there, and it's worked out pretty good for me.
Well, I love all three of your tools, and they're among some of our most frequently mentioned tools. So your thinking's right along there with many of our listeners. The be a lifelong learner. I love your quote, and I've used it many times. I certainly didn't invent it, but I stole it, borrowed it. They don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And the taking your time and doing your research is so it's one of those, you would think it's obvious, but it's not, and it's such great wisdom. And I love how you put that fourth tool in there, the Florida State Sport Management Program. Speaking of that, if one of our listeners wanted to find out more, what's the best way that they can get a hold of you and pick your brain, or find out more about the sport management program?
Sure. I have an email that I can share with you, Flanagan at fsu.edu. If there's show notes, they're welcome to reach out. I'd love to be one of the first connections they make, and get to know you and why it interests you, and tell you more personally about the program.
All right. Well, Katie, thanks again for sharing with our listeners. All the best moving forward with all of your projects. And I'm serious, we definitely have to get you back on the podcast.
I'd love that.
For our listeners, we want to say thanks to you and remind you that we upload the Zoom recordings of all of our interviews to the Educational AD Podcast YouTube channel. We do this just about every day. We try to share stories from the world of athletics along with some best practices. So please come back and join us again on the next episode of the Educational AD Podcast. Have a great day.